Back in our Media Day special, head coach of the Maryland Terrapins, Michael Locksley, embarking on his third season in College Park. Or is it season 2.5? Just 5 regular season games last year for the Terps, tied for the fewest in the Big Ten, and getting set to embark on this year with a ton back from a year ago. 85% of its production returning. Some changes, though, as well. 2 new coordinators, Dan Enos to coordinate the offense, Brian Stewart to run the defense. Taulia Tagovailoa coming back at quarterback along with Nick Cross in that secondary as Michael Locksley embarks on this new season and is kind enough to join us now. Let's talk about the coordinators first, because I always think that's interesting whenever you have to make a transition. You and I were talking earlier, and you were saying, hey, the template is already in place. We're going to play Maryland football. So how do you incorporate some new faces, both of whom you have worked with before, into what you're building in College Park?
Yeah, Dave, and that's what made it easy. That along with the 3 years I spent with the guy with the straw hat that lost a bunch of coordinators every year.
He seems to do okay.
He does. Yeah. And so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But what I learned was the systems shouldn't change. And I can't say that was the case when I was a head coach at a younger age, where I would let a guy come in with his own playbook and teach 50 kids something different. And so 50 people had to learn what he knew instead of one guy learning what 50 people know. And so what I did was who we are on offense is who we're going to be as long as I'm the head coach here at Maryland. Who we are on defense is who we're going to be, and who we are on special teams. And so when you bring new people in, they learn what we do the Maryland way, but then they can add to it. And that's kind of what I was able to do when I took over at Alabama as the play caller, is to be able to add to the package. But the base of it, the terminology, there's not a lot of new learning for our players. Brian had to come in and kind of learn some of the things and how we called it, which a veteran coach, he's coached at the NFL level as a coordinator, easy transition for him. Having Ron Zook do the same thing with special teams, which he was already in place, that was an easy transition. And then Dan, because of the time we spent together at Alabama and working together with another Tagovailoa, that familiarity, my confidence in him, because he understood the system. He's heard me call this offense. So it was an easy transition for us, and mainly because they all came in, and now they can add their personality to what we do.
And Coach, as you take a deeper look at that offense, obviously you've got a lot of good returning players. Quarterback's a position probably feel pretty confident in. The run game we know is going to be strong. We look at that wide receiver room and think that they can probably compete with anybody in the country. I think a lot of people have a question about the offensive line and just the ability to protect the quarterback and get that push in the run game. So how do you see those guys progressing throughout camp?
Yeah, I thought going into after last season when we did our quality control, I thought our offensive line and our DBs were the most improved units. Now, the difference is we only got 5 opportunities, and that's the tough part, because we're still in the growth phase of our program, and we needed all those games and to develop our roster, to develop our team. And if you look at the way we recruited 2 years ago, we put an emphasis on offensive linemen. Well, it takes 3 years to grow offensive linemen, and especially in this league, where you can put a skill guy on the field as a freshman, and he usually can make plays. In those trenches, it's dirty, it's ugly, it's maturity, it's big man against little man. So for us, I think we'll take the next step on the offensive line, which I saw us do. You know, Jalen Duncan, our left tackle, his improvement from my first year here to last year was phenomenal. And then just the continuity of what we do.
Joshua mentioned a group that I'm really excited to see, and that's the wide receiver group. And I know Coach Dan Enos is excited about them. Well, you both have been around very explosive wide receiver rooms. How does this room compare? Not so much for obviously production-wise, but upside. Where can this group be?
You know, comparisons are the kiss of death, but I will tell you, this room from top to bottom is as talented a room as I've been a part of. Not to take away from them, because I just saw one of the rooms I had my hands on the last 2 seasons. Those guys making a lot of money. And I think this group has that type of opportunity or that type of potential. But like I said in my 15 minutes up on the podium, I'm tired of the potential part. Now it's time for us to take the next step as a program, and you know, like I said, no BCEs, man.
One of the other things you talked about just in terms of your philosophy with your team is not that you guys have to prove others wrong, but you have to prove yourselves right. How have you been able to permeate that throughout your team?
Well, it's just beating it in them. It's like raising kids, man. The more you say it, the more you talk about it, the more you de-emphasize the importance of what other people think. Because it's none of your business what other people think, really. If somebody thinks we suck, you shouldn't even know that because it's none of your business. Well, it's what do we think? And what are we doing? And I'm looking at this thing big picture-wise. I knew what I was getting into when I took over the job. I knew it was going to take some time. We're doing it the right way. We're putting it on really strong foundation so that we don't have the pockets of success that Maryland has had. We've had, the mid-'80s teams I grew up rooting for. I mean, they were pretty good. When I was with Coach Friedgen in his first 3 years, pretty good. We just got to keep the consistency, and I think, coming in, we've been able to stabilize it, start working on, developing that roster the right way, and now it's like I said, we got to go out and do it.
You talk about potential. It's no longer the potential when you talk about your new football facility. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think the big thing for me, man, is just when you pull up to this thing, and then if you understand the history of that building, because I do. I used to scout tickets, and I ain't supposed to tell people. I used to scout tickets in that parking lot where this building is, and it's called the Jones Hill House, all right? Billy Jones, the first black player in the ACC. Darrell Hill, the first black player to integrate football in the South. I mean, we are south of the Mason-Dixon line. And that building is named after two trailblazers. To me, to have the opportunity to coach in that building, that's the same building the West Texas State beat Kentucky in. If you're a film buff, the Glory Roads movie, Cole Fieldhouse, that's what we walk into every day. And, we had some people that made it happen. I mean, it's second to none of the facilities that I've worked and been a part of. And it gives our players the best opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And the thing I like most about it is, as you all know, when you raise kids, you want your house to be the house that has all the new toys, gadgets, to where the kids in the neighborhood are banging on the door at 6 a.m. to come over, because now you can keep them right near you and you know what's going on in their lives. And we've made it very player-centric.
Speaking of your players, your quarterback, Taulia Tagovailoa, definitely created some buzz last year, had a couple really good games. It was up and down, no doubt. But where have you seen the most growth from him from the end of last year up till now?
Yeah, and again, I mean, he was a freshman quarterback last year. I mean, he played a little bit at Bama, 3 or 4 backup games when the game was out of hand. So he was a true freshman last year that had no spring ball, no summer camp. And then we play a Northwestern team and that just really was ready to play. And as we saw, one of the best teams in the country and in our league, I saw him improve every game. The Indiana game is the one that really sits in my craw because he got blamed for something, and it was on me as a coach, that we didn't give him the best chance to go out and perform against a good Indiana program. But I think the best part about Leah is time. He now is a second-year quarterback in the system. The verbiage and terminology we use is what he's very familiar with because we went back to the terminology that he was used to and that I was used to. The weapons, having a spring under his belt all summer, throwing with these guys, the chemistry with that receiver room. Like I like to say, the best is ahead for us, and it starts with our quarterback room.
Give us a sense of the depth at quarterback, because on paper that does seem like a bit of a concern.
On paper, it looks like it is because we've got 2 scholarship quarterbacks. We added Reese Udensky, who came in from VMI, and here's a guy that had an NFL grade on him where he could have came out and been between a 5th and 7th round draft pick, and he is very talented. And, he tore his ACL there playing in the spring at VMI, went down to Alabama and got it fixed, and we expect him to be fully cleared to participate starting August 1. I see him coming in and competing. He's not coming in his mind to be a backup, which I love that piece of it. I think anytime you can create competition at every position like that it brings out the best in everybody. And he's a talented thrower, a guy that our players are starting to get really comfortable with, and it's good for that quarterback room.
Jake Funk finished on such a positive note last year. Who picks up the slack there at running back?
I think it starts with Tayon Fleet Davis. Fleet is one of those guys that is a Swiss Army knife. I love his ability as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He can be a third down pass protector. He can get the tough yards and short yardage, and he's a guy that has his skill set to make plays on first and second down. I've been really happy with him. But then you throw the 2 young players that we threw out there last year, Isaiah Jacobs and Penny Boone, and Both those guys kind of got a great welcome to the Big Ten and the 5 games they got to play in. And, and then you throw in guys like Challen Matu, as well as Roman Hemby, one of the freshmen that we signed. That I've seen. I expect him to have a big year for us.
You and I were talking a little bit earlier. I want to leave you with this. Your opener's against West Virginia, and I think some Big Ten fans might not know about the history of Maryland and West Virginia, but give us a sense for those who might not be in tune with it, how big a rivalry that is.
Well, it's a huge rivalry, one, because of the geographical location of both of us. They're a border state up there to the northwest corner of Maryland. For me, growing up a Terp fan, I've seen many of those games, and having coached there, even when we were part of the ACC, you didn't want to go to Morgantown at night and giving them a full day there to get juiced up, man, 'cause it is a tough place to play. But for us, we have them at home, and it's a great barometer right off the bat for us to get an idea of what type of team we are. And we're looking forward to competing. Got a lot of work to do from now until that kickoff on September 4th. But I'm encouraged. I feel like our culture is where it needs to be. Now it's just time for us to go out and just do it. No BCEs. Just let's go do it.
Well, Locks, really a pleasure to visit with you. I know 3 of us are all looking forward to getting down, seeing the facility, watching your team go through preseason practice. Thanks a lot for your time. Maryland Terrapins in town in Indy, getting set to embark on the 2021 season. Maryland trying to build on some of the successes of last year as they move into year 3 under head coach Michael Locksley. And we were talking about earlier with Locks opening with a game against West Virginia, a great regional rivalry. We'll have them on the Big Ten Network against Howard on September the 11th, and then at Illinois on Fox Sports 1 on September the 17th. Joined by 3 members of the Maryland Terrapins. Nick Cross next to me. Taulia Tagovailoa, who has informed me he wants to be called Leah this year, so it's Leah, and that makes it easier for me. Frankly, it's one fewer syllable, so that's good. Dontay Demus as well. Guys, welcome. Really great to have all 3 of you with us. Let's dive into it. Nick, I want to start with you. It's a season of change at Maryland, which I find really interesting, and we were discussing this with Coach Locksley. New coordinators on both sides of the ball. Tell us about defense and Brian Stewart.
He's a great coach. He has a lot of knowledge. He's been in a lot of places. He has years and years of knowledge, and just great to sit down and talk to him and just pick his brain about certain things, certain techniques, certain defenses he likes to play. And he's a great guy. You can go into his office at any time and just talk to him about anything. And he's a great coach on the field, even better person off the field.
Yeah, you mentioned picking his brain, and he's had a lot of stops in his career. What are some of the things that he's told you that have stood out here early as you've tried to figure out, all right, where's this relationship going and where's this defense going?
He's just told us, make sure that, before you go, just make sure you know where you're going. Make sure that, your keys are right. Make sure your eyes are clean, and make sure that, it's not about how fast you get this, about make sure you take the right angles. Make sure that you, can get there and make sure when you get there, you make a play. So it's all about hits and picks, making sure you get the ball out, ball disruption. That's all he talks about. So, he's definitely big on those.
Leah, on the other side of the ball, Dan Enos takes over as the offensive coordinator. And, of course, you have some familiarity, certainly in your family. He was Tua's quarterback coach when he was at Alabama. How has that kind of accelerated this relationship between the two of you?
I think it makes, the whole change for him very comfortable. And, I'm hearing the same things that I'm hearing, so everything that he's teaching me is kind of familiar. Our team, our offense, is surrounded by him, so he takes great leadership around our offense, and we all trust him.
Dontay, what should we expect offensively from this team?
Offensively, just a bunch of playmakers all around the board, just in the receiver room, tight end room, quarterback room, as well as the running backs. It's a lot of playmakers on and off the field. We can just do a lot of things just to make things happen with our offense with Dan Enos.
It's interesting. I look at this wide receiver room, and, it's pretty good, right? Yourself, you've got Rakim Jarrett, Ja'Shawn Jones has shown some real talent here in his first couple of years at Maryland. Mm-hmm. It was interesting in talking to Coach Locksley earlier. He was saying this is as good a group as he's been around, and as you guys are probably aware, he's been around some pretty good groups.
Yeah, yes, sir.
What does it mean to hear that kind of praise from your head coach?
Just to be able to, just take that in and really just play with that on your shoulder. Being able to him to say that he's been a part of a lot of great groups going on. You know, a lot of guys like Judy and Devontae Smith like that. Just a lot of people just not really on type of level that we would really think. You know, just those type of people that really excite themselves and really reach out outside of their comfort zone.
Nick, how tough is that group to deal with in practice?
They're a handful. You know, every day we got to be on our P's and Q's. We got to make sure that we're on our assignments. We know our technique. We know our leverage and everything, because you know they bring it every single day. You know, from top to bottom. You know, it's a very talented room. Everybody brings something different to the table. You know, Dontay here. You know, he does it all. You know, all the receivers, they have their little niche, but you know, at the end of the day, they can play inside and outside. So you definitely have to come and bring your A game every single day.
What kind of luxury is it for you as a quarterback, Taulia?
It's a blessing, you know. Last year we didn't really get the opportunity to, you know, throw on our own due to COVID and stuff like that. But, you know, coming into this next season, me and Demus actually sat down and we talked about, you know, the next step, us taking the next step as an offense and us as a receiver and quarterback room. And he took on a challenge and, you know, he's the leader for the receivers and, you know, the whole receiver crew follows after him. So we just got to continue to get better.
What about the next step for this defense? Your secondary was really good last year. I mean, statistically, top 15 in the nation in pass efficiency defense. You have a lot of that group back. What's the next step for that unit?
Just to continue to get better every single day. You know, we have a young group. You know, we have athletes all across the board, from D-line to linebackers to defensive backs, you know, and all of us, we all love each other. We love hanging around each other. We love, you know, practicing together. We love communicating with each other. I think it's just, you know, getting that feel under our belt, making sure that we're comfortable with each other, making sure that we can just go out there and play with high energy and effort.
Nick, I want to talk a little bit about your personal story. I find it really interesting. You are the son of immigrants who did not know a whole lot about American football, correct? This was not a sport that they really grew up with, and you did not start playing until fairly late in your youth. Have you sat back and thought about, man, how far you've come and how quickly you've come, and what goes through your head when you do?
It's just a blessing, you know, and thank God for, you know, giving me the talent, the athletic ability to go out there and play. And, you know, at the end of the day, I want to thank my parents. You know, they knew it was best, you know, although I might not have thought so at the time. You know, they knew it was best, and, you know, now that I look back on it, you know, everything happens for a reason. And, you know, there's been a lot of work that's come so far, and there's a lot left to be done. So,
what are the biggest lessons you've taken from them and from their story?
Just the value of hard work, and your character. You know, they were big on character. They didn't really care about, you know, the glitz and the glam. They were just like, make sure that you are a person of integrity, make sure that you have upstanding character, and that will go miles beyond whatever you accomplish. So that was some things, and just, you know, hard work, humility, and things like that.
Dontay, I know you endured a real tragedy in your youth when your father passed away in a motorcycle crash your senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. How does his memory inspire you?
My father's always just been my backbone and my foundation. He just got me into football early on, and really was that guy who really just pushed me to do everything. You know, he was always, you know, number one in my corner, just made sure I was okay, made sure I had everything that I needed, and just knowing that he's always with me right here inside my ashes, day in and day out, going through workouts or practice or anything, just keeps the extra chip on my shoulder and makes me go.
What do you think he'd say to you right now?
Keep going.
How about your family, Leah? I think a lot of people are familiar with your family story and your family moving to the mainland from Hawaii to support your brother. How has your family impacted your career path?
Well, my family's everything to me. You know, like both of them said. I can't thank my family enough. You know, the sacrifices that my parents made to move from Hawaii to Alabama, and then to you know, let me do my own thing here at Maryland. And my family been there every step of the way for me, and has never stopped supporting me, from giving me, you know, life lessons and just things that I need to know living on my own and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think this whole process for me has been a blessing, and like Demus said, we just got to continue to keep going.
How do you endure the constant comparisons to your brother? Does it get annoying?
I mean, no, I think that's something that, you know, I can't really control. Just because he's my brother, I know that all the comparisons are going to always be there and stuff like that. So, but, you know, I'm just happy to say that, you know, I got a brother that's playing in the NFL, you know, and that he's my role model, and that's someone I look up to. So I think it's a blessing for me to be compared to him So, but those type of stuff, I can't really control any of that.
It's interesting. We were talking to Coach Locksley a little bit about your kind of roller coaster last year and really got thrown in the fire against what turned out to be one of the best defenses in the country in Northwestern in that opener. I don't think we were aware at the time just how good they were going to be, but that the season started really well for them and obviously was a struggle for you. And yet really within just a couple of games, it felt like you hit your stride. How do you think you've grown since last year to head into this year? Where do you feel you've made the biggest strides?
I think the biggest stride I made probably is in maturity. After those games, after last season, it really matured me. And Coach Locks and also Coach Enos talked to me about, there's responsibilities that comes with being a quarterback, first of all, and then being a quarterback at a starting quarterback at Maryland. So, just learning how to do things on and off the field and continue to do my responsibilities and stuff like that, and taking the next step as a quarterback. So
when you guys think back on last year and not getting to play as many games as you wanted to and just kind of all the uncertainty that surrounded it, what were the biggest lessons that you learned last year, Nick, that you think you can carry forward to this year?
Just don't take anything for granted. You could be in 1 week and then the next week you're out for 3 weeks, so it definitely means don't take anything for granted. Make sure that you play every play like it's your last, because you're only one positive COVID test away from being sidelined for a while. So just making sure that you take advantage. You enjoy the time with your brothers. Make sure that you build that camaraderie with your teammates and everything, because 1 week you can play with one person, next week you play with another person, next week you play with a whole different person. So it's just the ups and downs of the ebb and flow of what COVID brought, and just making sure that you value the time that you have.
Dontay, how about for you? Big lesson from last year?
Yeah, Coach Locks always taught us that, we're playing 2 opponents each week, and that's COVID and the team we're playing. So just being able to just go out there and just follow the coaching and follow the guidelines they put in us, just to be safe throughout that COVID season, just to, really just embrace it, just to take the time to really be with your brothers throughout quarantine. That really just molded us and brought us closer together as a team.
It was a weird year in that way. It was a weird year with no fans, too. Leah, what will it mean to play in front of a packed house of Terrapin fans in the opener?
That'll be very cool. Last year I didn't get the opportunity to play in a full-capacity stadium at Maryland. So I think, this upcoming year is going to be very exciting for me, and I can't wait.
There's been a lot of talk about NIL. To what extent have you guys explored those opportunities? Nick, I can start with you.
Just a little bit here and there. People have reached out to me. I've talked to a couple people about it. But at the end of the day, just keep the main thing, and that's just playing football. At the end of the day, we're all here to play football, all here to get our education and everything. So I think we got to keep the main thing. Can't let it be a distraction, and just make sure that you're constantly working to get better and better every day.
Leah, how about you?
I'm the same thing with Nick. I kind of let my parents handle all that type of stuff. My biggest thing is just, focusing on my priorities with football and school. I think I'm coming up on my 3rd year now in college, so hopefully I can graduate in 3 years. And, that's really the biggest thing for me.
Dontay?
Just been trying to take things day by day with everything. It's a great opportunity, changing a lot of people's lives, early on. Just giving them a chance to really represent themselves and what they really want to get across. This NIL stuff and marketing and stuff like that, just really giving me an opportunity to really just see what's more out there and what I can really do. And just me signing with the Sports and Entertainment Group, that just gave me an opportunity just to really focus on football and let them just show me what I need to do towards this.
I can't resist leaving you with this. And I just want to say I'm not here to embarrass anyone, because I couldn't do this if my life depended on it. But you two each get an opportunity to spell Tagovailoa. Can you spell Leah's last name?
It's T-A-N-G-O-V-I.
He's already wrong, isn't he? Yeah.
So if he did that, I'm not even going to attempt. You feel me? Because
come on. You got to try. You got to try. Give it a shot, Dontay.
I can spell cross. I can spell Demus.
Easy, right?
Yeah, I can spell it.
My boy.
Give it a try. Give it a try, Dontay.
Hey, Leah. That's what I call him. Leah.
I can spell Leah. I can spell Leah.
You want to do it? Here it is.
Leah,
there
spell
we
your
go.
last name, Leah.
It's Tagovailoa.
It's easy.
Okay.
Tagovailoa. I can say
you got it.
but
right?
I can't.
Yeah. As sportscasters, we spent years trying to spell Krzyzewski, and now Tagovailoa has kind of become the next one for us. So it's the last frontier. Thanks, guys. This is a lot of fun. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, enjoy the rest of your trip.